The prairie sky is wide and high.
Deep in the heart of Texas.
Texas is unlike any other place I've ever been.
This doesn't look like Ahmed.
Bubba.
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 All right.
Bubba.
Bubba.
It's got a lot of attitude.
It's the greatest country in the world.
Everything's bigger in Texas.
And a lot of stereotypes.
Crude and up through the ground come a bubbling crude oil, that is.
I'm not a big believer in climate change.
I don't believe in climate change just because you just don't see the drastic things.
But there's also a lot happening on the ground that'll surprise you. Texas may have broken its oil production record last year, but Texas also generates more renewable energy than any other state.
As far as the eye can see, spinning metal objects.
The Lone Star State doesn't exactly have a reputation for being eco-friendly. So I set out on a journey to the heart of oil country to find out how this die-hard red state turned green.
All right, there it is, Childress, Texas.
Childress is one of the most conservative towns in the country. In 2016, 86.5% of people voted for President Trump, more than any other Republican candidate in the county's history.
Oh, I voted for Trump.
Well, I'd like to see a wall go up.
This is Chris Casey. He grew up here in Childress and is a lifelong Republican. For years, he worked on oil fields, but recently became a key member of the eco-right.
You know, I'm really engaged. Like if I'm not studying in graduate school, if I'm not working at the newspaper, I'm working on something climate related.
Chris is one of the leading young conservative voices working to build support among Republicans to combat climate change head-on in D.C. He showed me a new development in Childress that's helping to move this small Republican town into supporting green energy with a new solar farm.
Is this like one of the biggest new attractions here in Childress?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, something to see like this. But people are excited that we have jobs here because, you know, a very rural community. We have a little over 6,000 people here. If you go a couple miles further down 287, you'll see, gosh, hundreds and hundreds of windmills powering and giving us electricity.
Texas has some of the highest wind and solar capacity in the entire United States. Secretary of Energy Rick Perry spent $7 billion of state funds as governor of Texas to build transmission lines, allowing towns like Childress to send energy to bigger cities across the state. As renewable energy production capacity increases in Texas, electricity prices drop. And one guy who's using that concept is Mayor Dale Ross.
I'm a Republican in Georgetown, Texas. It is a conservative city, it's a conservative county, conservative state. However, what we do in Georgetown is we make decisions based on facts.
Dale Ross is the mayor of Georgetown, Texas, one of a handful of U.S. cities that runs completely on renewable energy. He's a Trump supporter, lifelong Republican, and just might be the bubbliest man I've ever met. Why is everyone so nice here?
Because we're Texans. We enjoy life, okay? And, you know, plus we have open carry here in Texas.
He's made some unlikely allies, teaming up with Al Gore and going on TV with Bernie Sanders.
This building's powered by 100% renewable energy.
We talked about this a little bit before, but this all started in 2008.
That's when the thought started.
Okay.
You know, we wanted 30% of our energy portfolio to be renewable by the year 2030. So we sort of beat that target date.
But with that in mind, I mean, you're still in a city that is conservative in a sense. It's voted for Trump. And do you think there's a disconnect there? I mean, is renewable energy something that is replicable in areas that are conservative?
And in Georgetown, what we try to do is we try to put those silly partisan politics to the side and just make decisions based on what's best for the people that elected us to serve their interests. If you win the economic argument, you're going to be by default win the environmental argument.
In 2018, Texas's Governor Greg Abbott released a report on the steps Texas needs to take to tackle intensifying storms and droughts in the state. But the report makes absolutely no mention of global warming or climate change. Instead, he invented the term future-proofing. I wanted to find out more about this divide between conservative politics and climate change, so I went to meet Katharine Hayhoe, the director of the Climate Center at Texas Tech University. and one of the most respected voices when it comes to climate change.
So there is a tension because for many people, being Republican means you have to say climate change isn't real. But at the same time, the evidence of our eyes is saying climate is changing, it's affecting us in the places where we live. Because what we don't understand is the fact that climate change is a threat multiplier. It takes all of these naturally occurring weather events that happen in Texas all the time and it amplifies them. So Texas is potentially the most vulnerable state in the entire country to the impacts of a changing climate. What we often don't realize is that fossil fuels are subsidized to the tune of over $160,000 per second worldwide. Texas leads the US in oil and gas production and the highest carbon emissions of any state. But what many people don't realize is Texas also leads the United States in wind and solar energy potential. This state could supply the entire country with electricity. On the Texas grid last year, we were already up to 19.2% wind and solar energy, and that just continues to grow.
Nearly every prominent Texas politician receives large amounts of money from the oil and gas industry. Governor Greg Abbott raked in $10 million for his 2018 campaign. Rick Perry, the head of the U.S. Energy Department, received roughly $11 million over his last 6 races. And it's not just Republicans. Democratic hopeful Beto O'Rourke received $500,000 for his 2018 Senate race. But it's Senator Ted Cruz who comes out on top with a whopping $25 million from fossil fuel lobbyists for his 2016 presidential run. And many Republican politicians like him are the ones who still question whether climate change even exists.
Satellite data demonstrate for the last 17 years, there's been zero warming, none whatsoever.
But the summer of 2019 had some of the hottest days on record in the state. And today, even oil companies are taking notice of the changes in climate that are hitting Texas. Large conglomerates are asking the federal government for $12 billion to build a 16-mile concrete wall to protect their plants from intensifying storms and hurricanes. I drove to Dimmitt County to meet Hugh, a rancher who raises bison in the southern part of the state.
You know you're in Texas when every single car in front of you is a pickup truck.
Hugh's been living on this land for his entire life. It was bought by his great-grandfather, and he's seen how big oil has changed it.
So where are we going now?
We're going to go see some production. There may be some flares, and we're going to look for some bison.
Oh, wow.
Hugh is also the first in his family's history to start believing in climate change, because it's affecting him directly. His siblings sold the land next to him to oil companies that are flaring methane gas, and the toxic fumes have been drifting onto his land.
You think you could pass out just by smelling it?
I know you can.
Well, if this is happening all over Texas, I mean, this is happening on your land.
Yeah.
And
I'm downwind.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's going up into the atmosphere, and it's a major contributor to global warming.
So I know you were talking about 2011, the year you guys didn't get any rain.
We had 3 months over 100 degrees and no rainfall. So I had to cut the size of my herd and rethink my entire approach to raising bison.
Why do you think those people who are invested in the state, who are representing the state, who seem not to be as concerned as you are?
The short answer is money. And if you follow the money all the way from Austin, Texas, and the state capital, and they'll listen, but then they're going to do whatever the person that funded their campaign tells them to do. And that's, don't regulate.
Today, Texas is producing as much oil and gas as ever, exporting almost 4 million barrels of oil a day. And oil and gas remain cornerstones of Texas's economy. They provide jobs and put $159.3 billion into the state each year, which means money for schools, roads, and public programs. But as an energy leader in the United States, Texas can also have a huge portion of its energy come from renewable sources, which could eventually outgrow fossil fuels. Right now, the fastest growing jobs in Texas are in wind energy. Even if Texas legislators haven't made it a priority, Republicans and Democrats in the state have realized its benefits.
Do you think there's going to be a shift?
Yes.
Do in the next 5 years?
Oh, yes.
Why? What makes you confident?
Because of your generation. because you care. Your generation cares more.
And he's right. Today, 59% of Republican millennials believe in climate change. That's compared with 48% of Republican baby boomers. I met with kids at the University of Texas at Austin who are preparing for careers in renewable energy by building and racing solar cars.
I think the current atmosphere is changing. I think a lot of younger people are being taught that climate change is a thing and that we should be worried about it.
Most youth absolutely kind of acknowledge that climate change is real and it's a problem that they're worried about, but I would say a lot of the older generations, to them it's not as big of a concern, or they might not necessarily believe in it.
What do you think, Lana?
I feel like this is my new hobby. Yeehaw!
Even though oil and gas still play a powerful role in this state, it's undeniable that Texas is a powerhouse for renewable energy. And whether through economic reasons or because of the devastating effects they already see happening in their state, it's Republicans who are helping to lead the way.
Hey, it's Ahmed. Thanks for watching our video, and I hope you enjoyed learning as much as I did about Texas leading the green revolution here in the US. Lots of things on the ground actually surprised me when it comes to Texas and their views towards climate change. So if something surprised you, be sure to leave your comments in the comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe to AJ Plus here on YouTube.